that you are complaining that God get you out of. You keep calling out to him and he keeps telling you you're not ready. You need to be better.
Christ, he coming through and he with the flight. Angels on his left and they to his right. Christ, it's judgment day. Are you living right? Meditate day and night. Christ, got fishermen and the fishes bite. Christ, married to the church, they throwing rice. Christ, turn your darkness into stage with lights. Prophetic life, no blessing.
What does it mean to be faithful? When exactly should faithfulness be applied? To know when and how to apply faithfulness, we must know what it means. A lot of the times we hear words and so they're used so loosely and they're watered down by the world, they tend to get desensitized to their true meaning. I want to look up what faithful means. Faithful in the Oxford Dictionary means remaining loyal and steadfast. Some synonyms is true-hearted, constant, unswerving, unwavering, trustworthy, reliable, and obedient. Faithful meaning in the Blue Letter Bible means this. Faithful in, according to the Blue Letter Bible, trusty, faithful of a person who shows themselves faithful in the transaction of business. So it's talking about business because we're going to be coming from Luke chapter 16. And in this, faithful means in the transaction of business, the execution of commands or the discharge of official duties. One who kept his plighted faith worthy of trust that can be relied on, someone who's easily persuaded. Believing, confiding, and trusting. In the New Testament, one who trusts in God's promises. It also means one who is convinced that Jesus has been raised from the dead. One who has become convinced that Jesus is the Messiah and the author of salvation. So we know that faithfulness means a believer. It means trustworthy. It means unswerving. So when should faithfulness be applied? Now that we know the meaning, the answer has to be always. You should always be applying faithfulness. This means even in your business. If you guys don't know me, my name is Nina. I am the stewardess of stewards. I am your startup coach. I help you from start to finish of starting that business. But one key component that you need is this BS requirement. A better steward requirement. You have to be a better steward. And one of the ways to be a better steward is through faithfulness. It's right from the start. Let's see what scripture says about being faithful over even a little. It tells us right here, and this is Jesus speaking, in Luke chapter 16, I'm going to read verses 10 through 12. It says, He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. And he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will you commit to your trust in true riches? And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? I want to read, let's read that one more time because I feel like I stumbled and it can lose its meaning. Verse 10, he who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. And he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches. And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? This is so important to hear and to know because I love that word mammon, right? And mammon talks about the wealth, right? Usually it's on them. He sits on the top of the mountain of economy. And coming in Luke chapter 16 is talking about faithfulness in business. I love the other part of this when it says, if you are not faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? We have to understand to be a better steward of the Lord. First, I always say this. Nothing is yours. You're stewarding everything that is God, that He is God's, that He is giving you to steward over. So let's just continue, right? So when I read Luke 16, you hear two things. Whoever is unfaithful, let me look at it again. It says, therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust true riches? And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? Knowing how to be faithful with the amount you have now, Because some people feel like their faithfulness should apply once you make it big. Once I start getting bigger money, once I start making more money, once I start having more children, once I start having more of something, you think your faithfulness needs to come in. When really you need to be learning to be faithful now, in the little, in what you have now. It says, knowing how to be faithful with the amount you have now, where you are now, will show your character. What your character will be like when you get much or more. May it be more kids, more space, a bigger place, more clients, more business, etc. Your character is developed in faithfulness, not in the more of a thing. So if you are dishonest with the little business that is coming in, with the few clients, with the few customers, and not giving them the best for a worthy price, then when you get the more, you're going to be just the same. Your lack of loyalty in the now carries over into the more, because you never practice faithfulness in the few, in the least. This is where you get your practice. This is where you get to practice faithfulness and become a master at faithfulness. You get to practice the mastery of being trustworthy, of being honest. Come on now. You never develop faithfulness in the low tide before your high tide. Your lack of loyalty will only increase with more. You don't become more loyal and faithful once you get more. No, whatever you are is going to increase. Whatever you feed is going to increase when you get the more. You're going to start being more dishonest and disloyal for your own personal gain. That's why it says in the unrighteous of mammon. That means you're operating in mammon. You're operating just for the sole purpose of money. Let's see what the Lord says about this in Jeremiah 12:5. The Lord rebukes Jeremiah for his impatience, saying, if you have raced with men on foot and they have tired you out, then how can you compete with horses? If you fall down in the land of peace where you feel secure, then how will you do among the lions in the flooded thicket besides the Jordan? In this chapter, Jeremiah was complaining. First of all, the Lord called Jeremiah to be a prophet. The Lord called you to this business. The Lord has given you a business to steward over, right? And first of all, economy is linked to prophets. Wealth is linked to prophets. And so Jeremiah was complaining about what was going on, about how hard it was, about him being anxious, with having to deliver the words to man, and how it was just like weighing on him. And here you are, you might be out here complaining to God about how, business is slow. It's hard running a business, God. I'm tired of always doing and I'm not seeing anything. And God's like, okay, you think this is hard waiting for more clients? And instead of you focusing on getting better at managing and stewarding and being faithful and being developed in faithfulness, you think you're going to be able to keep up with the big boys? You think that's what you're going to be able to do. See, there was a time so I used to have a business that I used to operate, and I used to do fitness. And in my fitness business, I also used to provide meal prep for my clients. Now, on the side of that, I also started to dabble in catering, because clients that I used to meal prep for was like, wow, well, do you also cater? And I figured, well, since I'm doing meal prep, why wouldn't I cater? Now, I used to get this contract that I had for, they were meetings for, I forget what they call it. It's sort of like, I can't think of the name, but I used to get these, monthly meetings, quarterly meetings with this company. And this same company asked me to cater their Christmas party. Now, instead of me in the interim of doing their quarterly and their monthly meetings, right, practicing my skill, instead of me getting sharper, right, instead of me being faithful over the recipes that I was using, by the time I got to the catering gig, I was fully flustered, because my mom was helping me, and she used to tell me, sit down and practice the recipes. Sit down and practice the recipes. Do it until you can't get it wrong. Make sure you know what is needed. Make sure you know what needs to be included. Now me, I was so worried about money that I was like, I don't have time for that. Because at the time I was also doing Uber, because this is after I left my job in 2018. I was trying to build my business that the Lord has given me. And I was like, well, I need money. I got bills. I got things to do. It's too hard to work this without money. Here I am in the unrighteousness of mammon. Meanwhile, my mom is telling me to perfect my craft along with the Lord. But what used to happen to me is I will break out in hives because I'm not used to sitting and taking my time and having patience of being still for a bit, right? And so instead of me doing what I should have been doing to gain mastery and faithfulness, I'm out here doing Uber and chasing money. So by the time the gig came, it was in the back end a mess. The people loved the food, but my mom looked at me and was like, I told you to prepare and you didn't prepare. And it was at that time, and this is December 2019, that the Lord even gave me Jeremiah 12:5. And he said, you want to run with the big boys. You want to make that big bank money, and that's all good that you want the more, but you're not even being faithful with the little that you have that you failed to prepare. Man, when I said that was a blow to me, when I said that I had to, when I tell you I had to like feel that and endure that, it was really tough for me. And I cried because I had to be checked. And this is some people right now, right? So I did some dishonest practices when I felt like I can just whip and put anything together. I can just put some things, throw some things together and it will be fine. No. It's not true, right? You have to have more faithfulness than that. You got to know how to, if it's something that you know is like it was my main dish, I didn't produce enough of it because I was being worn out the day of preparing everything I needed. So that was a dishonest practice because I was just doing it for the money, but not for the faithfulness of why God gave it to me to steward. I pray that makes sense. It says dishonest practices can happen when stress arises. That's what happened with me. I was trying to like cut corners, do things a little here, do things quickly here. You start to cut corners when you have dishonest practices because you lean on your own understanding instead of seeking the understanding of God as his steward. Your faithfulness in the few can develop qualities of mastery and honesty. I should have been getting more mastery at putting these recipes together. I could have been more honest about what I can actually produce if I knew. If I sat with the recipes and actually tried to work it out, I could have went back to the client and say, hey, I might have to cut back on this. Or I might have known that I might have to have outsourced to bring something in because this was like that was a Fortune 500 company. And you don't want to drop the ball on that. You feel me? Okay. So it says, because you think not having more is stress, picture having the more and not having the capacity or mastery to sustain it. Hence, not able to run with horses, not ready to be in the big leagues, or even to have more or much. That's even more stressful to think you can handle the more and then you get into the more and you out there looking crazy. Don't go looking like a clown because you was complaining in the few and you didn't have the mastery. You didn't use that time to gain mastery, to gain faithfulness, to gain honesty, right? And you could have been honest with yourself to say, actually, I'm not ready to really run with the big boys. I need a little bit more time. I need a little bit more help. I need a little bit more skill. Do not let the worry of lack of influx to allow you to become unjust with the one who has given you the business. Do not allow it to bring forth dishonesty. Remain steadfast and obedient. And here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you 4 practical ways to be and stay faithful to become a better steward, because that's why I'm here. I'm the stewardess of stewards, right? I had to go through it. I had to learn through it. And guess what? I am still learning. And this is why I am here from your start to finish in your stewardship, right? Because stewardship will be the plane to get you to launch and start that successful business, and then to excel and remain in that successful business. Amen. The first thing you want to do is being thankful in the now. Being thankful in the now. Your thankfulness opens gates and doors for you. Psalm 104 in the Message translation. Let's look that up a bit. I want to look that up. Psalm 104, right? So Psalm 104. Let's just read it. really quick. It says, Psalm 104 says, enter his gates with thanksgiving and into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him and bless his name. When we read that in the Message translation, it even tells us how enter with the password thank you. Make yourself at home, taking praise, thanking him, worship him. What's amazing about lift up your heads, O ye gates, in Psalm 24, verses 7, the gates is to the marketplace. If you want the success to open up its gates to you, if you want favor to open up its gates to your business, your ministry, and what you're doing, let's start with being thankful now, in the now with what you have, right? When you thank the Lord daily for what he has given you to steward, it will improve how you are thankful over those things. If you wake up begrudged that you only have this, first of all, you need to be thanking God for the power of sight, because just because you have eyes and they open don't mean you gave yourself sight. Just because you have ears, that don't mean you gave yourself the power to hear. Do you get what I'm saying? Your heart doesn't need to be on a machine to let it pump. You have an able body to get out the bed. When you start for being thankful now, God, thank you for the clients that I have right now in this time. Thank you for allowing them to be consistent with me. Thank you for allowing them to be trusting them with me. Because God know you, because you know you could be crazy. I know me. I could be a little iffy. You get what I'm saying? Thank you that I don't have to be perfect to be able to succeed, because you're my backing. If you're thankful in the now, the gate of the marketplace will open up to you. I know this for a fact, right? Number 2, faithfully make it your main goal to excel in service rather than in money. So we have, number 1 was faithfully being thankful in the now. Number 2 is faithfully make it your main goal to excel in service rather than money. Here's why. Excellent service is gonna bring word of mouth and high recommendation, which will then bring the byproduct of money. You're first of all, can't nobody deny great service, right? When you have great service, guess what that byproduct brings? Money, the money that you say you need more of. How about you need more of good service, right? Great service, excellent service. It says, which will then bring the byproduct of money, but even more, something more that it would bring, trust of your business, trust in you, trust with your clients in you, trust with customers. Now you will also develop and have brand loyalty. An example of this is Chick-fil-A. You want brand loyalty. Don't worry about, everybody's doing this, everybody's writing books, everybody putting out planners, everybody's designing t-shirts. So what? If the quality of your service is amazing, if the qualities of your shirts and whatever you make is amazing, if your quality and your service is good, guess what, baby? They gonna have brand loyalty and they ain't going nowhere else. And the reason why I put, for example, Chick-fil-A, people be acting like crackheads when Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday. And the chicken is not that good. It ain't. Sometimes when I take other people, because I'm not a big brand loyalty to Chick-fil-A, no shade. But when I go to Chick-fil-A, I be wondering if they're giving away big screen TVs, because why the heck is the line around the corner? You want to know why? You don't have to wait to get to the box to order food. They got people out there in the sun taking your order, calling you by name. What do you need? If you got a complaint, they fixed it automatically. They always say, it's my pleasure. Y'all go there for the service. Let's stop playing. And now you got brand loyalty. You ain't never going to talk bad about Chick-fil-A. You get what I'm saying? You go there for the service because the chicken is trash. It's not good chicken. I don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all think, now we talking about they peach little milkshake thing? I don't know. I mean, I'm still not like, and first of all, y'all don't even care if the line is long. Y'all know it's gonna move soon. If Chick-fil-A get your order wrong, you start thinking you did something wrong. That's how good that service. Okay. So number 2, faithfully make it your main goal to excel in service rather than in money. And that's what Chick-fil-A did. And now they got y'all in chokehold, huh? Number 3, faithfully value integrity and honesty, first from yourself and then from others. As a steward of God, you should know he detests lying lips, but delights in people who are trustworthy. He says so in Proverbs 12 and 22. When God can trust you to do what's right with you, with least, He adds the more because he detests a liar. He don't want you out here lying to make $1. That's ridiculous. So now you can't live up to the standard to what you say you can bring. You out here lying to people, giving them guarantees, knowing that that's not the guarantee, knowing you can't even keep that guarantee. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you what I know. Don't sit here and talk yourself into something. First of all, what they say, stop writing checks that you can't cash. God can cash the check. Do what he says to do and stop being out here lying to people. So you need to personally and faithfully value integrity and honesty. First from yourself, and then you can value it and expect it and at least seek it in other people. But you wouldn't know integrity if you don't know the integrity of God's word, and if you don't you don't see it in yourself. How are you going to see it with somebody else? And here's the last one, number 4. Faithfully stewarding the resources you have now. How are you stewarding the money that you're getting now? How are you stewarding the business that you have now? How are you stewarding the social medias that you have now? How are you stewarding your resources that you have access to right now? More money doesn't fix poverty mindsets, which causes lack. Being poor and having a poverty mindset is not the same thing. The byproduct of poor is the byproduct of a poverty mindset, right? So a renewing of the mind that will in turn transform you to become a better, faithful steward moreover, it is required of stewards that they are found faithful, right? So you need a renewing mind that will in turn transform you to become a faithful steward. You have to renew your mind. Moreover, it is required of stewards that you be found faithful. Well, Nina, where did you get that? Let's look at 1 Corinthians. I want to look at 1 Corinthians. Okay, let's look at 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians, and I believe this is 4 and 2. And this is what Paul is saying to us, right? He says, don't imagine us leaders to be something we aren't. We are servants of God, not his master. We are guides into God's divine secrets, not security guards posted to protect them. The requirements for a good guide are reliability and accurate knowledge. Or let me put it more plainly. The requirements for a good steward is reliability and accurate knowledge. It matters very little. Paul said it matters very little to me what you think of me, even less where I rank in popular opinion. I don't even rate myself. So don't you try and worry about your title if you're the best at something. Don't worry about that. Let God worry about that, sweetheart. You don't worry about if you're the best at something. You look for your ranking from God. So a requirement of a steward is that you be found faithful. I want to look that up in another translation so that you can fully get it, right? And it says this. It says, hold on. It tells me, in this case, moreover, it is required as an essential and demanded of stewards that one be found faithful and trustworthy. You hear that? In this case, moreover, more than anything, it is required. Here go the BS required, the better steward requirement, as an essential and demanded. It's an essential and it's demanded of stewards that they be found faithful and trustworthy. You are not a steward of God if you are found to be unfaithful, which one makes you a steward for the other side because your God is mammon, right? And two, shows the fact that waste of money or resources on frivolous things. Shows the fact for number 2 that you waste money or resources on frivolous things. Now crying is not enough, yet you don't have the mindset or discipline to scale or steward it well to be effective and efficient. Meaning, steward your resources now in the few and it will develop your best practices in you. Your mindset by the time more comes. Steward your resources now and it will develop best practices in you and your mindset by the time more comes. Otherwise, you can get $1 million today, and in a year or less, you can be back in a place of lack because you lack a faithful steward. You lack being a faithful steward, a better steward mindset. You can't afford to lack a better steward mindset. You can't afford it. Otherwise, you'll be right back in the very same place that you are complaining about, that you are complaining that God get you out of. You keep calling out to him and he keeps telling you, you're not ready. You need to be better. But this is why he raised me up. I am the stewardess of stewards, and something that the Lord has given me to create for you guys outside of this Divine Timeline Provision Journal and Planner, which will be in the description below. I've also created a practical steward and insightful guide. It's like such a tongue twister, right? A practical steward insightful guide, and it's only $1. And it's a downloadable. And I want you to read up on how you should steward what you have in a few. Who cares you only got 10 followers? I hope you stewarded them like they're 10,000. Who cares that if all you make in a month right now on the business that you stepped out on faith that God told you to do, that you only making $1,000 a month? You need to steward that and make it enough, right? Because you serve Jehovah Jireh. You don't serve Mammon. You steward the things that God has given you. And so I pray that this has encouraged you or will encourage you to work on your faithfulness, especially in your business. And I'm telling you, if you are having any kind of trouble on, well, what actually is a steward? This a practical steward insightful guide will actually help you. It's a downloadable. You can download it on your phone, your iPad, wherever you are, and you can get to reading it today. It's going to give you practical steps. That's why it's called a practical steward guide on how to be a better steward, because the Lord is raising up his stewards in this time. And the word steward is the word oikonomos in the Greek, which is the root word of economy. So you belong in a marketplace. Maybe you're just not fully prepared and you are right now running with the short landing horses or man on foot, that you're not ready for the big leagues. But this few, if you are faithful over the few that you have, will get you ready for the big leagues. Well, guys, I thank you for joining me. I pray that you join me next time. I pray that this has helped you in some way. Make sure you share it with someone else. If not, like and subscribe to this channel yourself so you can get more insightful tips about BS requirements, better steward requirements. And until next time, we will talk.